Let's start by talking about what the issue is here. It's not every day that people re-index their prop, and so there's a reason why we're doing that, and the reason is that we feel as though the prop is over-pitched, and what that means is that the blade angle is too steep, creating too much torque, too much resistance for the engine to comfortably spin it in the water, and that's causing, in my view, the engine to overheat. We have addressed almost every other reason why an engine would overheat. We've cleaned the heat exchanger, we've checked the strainers repeatedly, we've made sure that the seacock is not filled with some sort of crustacean buildup, growth, anything like that. We're getting good water flow through the engine, through the raw water circuit, and we just are kind of at the wit's end about why the engine runs hot above 2,000 RPMs. It'll run fine at 1,900 RPMs. It'll run fine at just shy of 2,000 RPMs. But if you go above that, you start seeing the gauge go up. And we don't overheat the engine. We just run it at what would be considered a warm temperature. But the problem is that that's not how the boat came. When we first got the boat, we could run it at 2,500 RPMs and everything would be fine. And we could also get more boat speed. The boat speed is limited by what they call theoretical hull speed. So there's a point at which the boat just won't go any faster unless you could find a way to plane up on top of the water like a power boat might. But that's not happening with this boat and generally won't happen with any sailboats. So you're usually limited there. However, we did have the prop removed. The first time in Greece, we had it sent back to PYI, the manufacturer, the European, Italian division of our office, where they checked it and made sure everything was fine, and that was good. We never hit anything. We've been lucky in owning the boat that we've never grounded it, but nonetheless, we are looking at what could have possibly changed. Whenever a feathering prop is removed, you have to document the indexing. And for a technician that doesn't fully understand how these things work, it's easily possible to pull the thing apart and then suddenly realize that you never documented. They're actually letters that you're documenting. And these index settings depend heavily on several factors. One is the engine that you're using. The second is the transmission that you're using, the gear reduction of that transmission, the rotational direction of the prop, and the gross weight of the boat as well. There is a specific indexing setting for the Oyster 485 with a Yanmar engine, but the problem was that there are numerous transmissions that were used, and you really need to know that gear reduction. And so I was able to call PYI, I believe they're Washington State, and have them look it up and give me the numbers they thought it was going to be. It fell to me to go and get the gear reduction off of the transmission. I didn't know how to do that. Luckily, the tech at PYI was on it. He knew exactly where to look, and I took pictures with my phone and sent it off to him, and he could tell immediately what it was and gave me the proper letters. So that is not really well videoed, but that's kind of just so that people know that that's how you do this if you find that you don't know what the techs did. Because I would say that this problem really kind of started in Greece. I recall having difficulty motor sailing upwind to Malta in heavy seas. We had pretty big swells going dead into the wind and dead into the swells. And I was having a very difficult time maintaining any kind of forward momentum without overheating the engine. So this was something that was happening back then. So here I've taken the anode off this MaxProp feathering propeller, and I'm going to re-index it. I'm going to take one setting off on the pitch. Let's see if that helps our overheating engine problem, which I suspect it will, but it's going to require pulling this apart first. So I've already got all the little microscopic cotter pins out, these guys here, and these are the bolts for the anode. And now it's just a matter of backing all this stuff off. So let's take a look and see what's inside. So here we have the MaxProp propeller disassembled, and the key to doing this is to make a mark. I think I mentioned this already. The key to doing this is to make a mark so that you can realign everything before you start. And then, based on the gear reduction and the engine that we have and the boat, which MaxProp has the Oyster 485 in their system already, what we do is we find there's a little drill dimple right there on that cone, and that lines up with the letter E, and that's what we're trying to do. That's the X number. These are forward and reverse numbers. The propellers can be set up to run in reverse, a left-hand spin. If you have a catamaran or something and you want one propeller to go in one direction and you want the other propeller to go in the other. But generally speaking, monohulls are going to be right-hand rotation, and so we're going to be, we know this already based on the Yanmar engine. So that's the first thing that happens. You get that set up, and then I've got the two halves, what they call the spinner halves. I've got some grease in there already, and we're gonna assemble it, and hopefully that's not too much grease. The way these blades go is each one is numbered. There's a number stamped on the inside of the blade here. There's also a number stamped on this triangular axle that holds all the blades together. And then the number one blade goes with the spinner that only has one cutout, and that way you get the whole thing aligned. And then the other one obviously takes the other two propeller blades. Once you get one bolt and one cap screw in, it'll hold the whole thing together. You can see I've got grease kind of coming out on the sides, which means I definitely have enough in there, I think. And then we're gonna have to get this. The way this works is now, once you've done that, you have to align the proper letter up. And the letter that we're looking for is H. And so it's E on the first one, and the Y is going to be H. And the Y is an important thing. You have to start with getting your lines lined up here, and then you can and there's a drilled hole in there that I'm going to have to clean this grease out in order to see. They will line up with one another, and when they do, we should be lined up right now, but we're going to find out. Okay, so we're back in the game. We got the blades all in, the trailing edges are facing backwards, which is what you want. You kind of see in the casting here that if you're off, if you put it in backwards, it's not going to look right. It's not going to fit properly. And then it spins nicely in both directions. And this is set up for a 18 degree feathering. 18 degrees when in drive and reverse, so they're both the same. One of the cool things about these feathering props is they have almost no prop walk. Prop walk is when a fixed blade prop, usually in reverse because they can only design it one way, will in reverse the boat will have the stern pull to one side. There's no fixing it. It's you know, sailors who have those types of props just learn to kind of build that into their docking plan. But these things have almost none, no pushable amount. One of the interesting things is the shaft itself is a little bit off center, and that's so that it can be removed. It's kicked this way a little bit, and the shaft will actually go right across next to the skeg, and if the rudder's straight, right on out. It's good because you can't remove the skeg. It's cast into the hull. There's no place, even if you took the shoe and the rudder off, it wouldn't really help you much. So these screws cannot go in wrong. They just won't fit in the holes. So, and the number one blade fits in the slot that they only have, fits in the hub only one way. So one of the tricks with this is you take these very, very small cotter pins and you cut them down so that they're about 1/4 of an inch of exposed cotter pin material. I'm using the old ones as a kind of a reference. And then what you do is you stick it in the little hole at in the fastener, and you hit it with a hammer lightly, and it just opens it up. And when they're opened, they'll look like this. It's going to be hard to see possibly, but see how the end opens up, and once it does that, it will not come out. And yet it's removable. It's not a particularly hard thing to get out. Got the completed prop. All the little pins are in each of the fasteners, and yep, this thing's ready to go in the water. This is the last thing that we needed to do. We're going to launch in a couple of days, so these, projects have to be complete before we leave. So having used the boat for this entire season, we were very, very happy with this. It worked quite well. With this channel, we're not really a how-to channel specifically, because there are videos out there on how to do this that are specific to the prop and everything else. And the best place to go for that is PYI, the manufacturer of the MaxProp props. They've got a video series on how to do this, and some of the screen captures of the pictures of the prop are from that website. I hope they don't mind. Having done this, I will report back that everything was a success. I was absolutely amazed. The performance of the prop increased tremendously. It gripped better, if you know what that means. It was better in reverse. It had a lot more power, and the engine performance was exactly what I recall it to be. We can take it up to 3,000 RPMs if we want, and run it there for a while, which you do want to do periodically with diesel engines, because you need to blow the carbon out. 3,000 RPMs or even higher, it's not going to hurt the engine at all, even though the common RPM range is usually 2,000 to 3,000 RPMs in agricultural applications. In this case, we tend to run the boat at around 2,200 RPMs, 2,300 RPMs, and that gets us the best fuel economy. We can go for 5 full 24-hour days without even coming close to running out of fuel. We'll have at least a gallon or two left when we're done. That's when we start to get concerned and start measuring fuel a little bit more, but we can comfortably just go that amount of time without any problems.